Tears of the Kingdom is finally here. So, as you begin, you'll find yourself on the Great Sky Islands. It is a tutorial area of sorts and has a lot to offer, and I think it's really important that you take advantage of all the resources you can find there before your descent to the surface. This should help you hit the ground a little bit softer than, well... I'm going to be focusing on a few things that aren't the obvious stuff like the shrines and the main objectives, because the game does a pretty good job of guiding you through those itself. Alright, so the first on the list is foraging. The Great Sky Island does a good job of preparing you for the revamped and objectively harsher Hyrule that you will soon find yourself on the surface of. To best take advantage of this densely resourceful floating mysterious set of rock, the first thing you should do is forage. There's an ample amount of food, critters, and fusible resources for you to discover. Right now we will focus on the food and elixir side of things. The food items that you will find are apples, found in trees in the ground beneath them, meat from animals, eggs in trees and dropped from birds, spicy peppers found on stalks mostly around snowy areas, sky, stamella, both found on the ground in various areas, and rush mushrooms, which like in Breath of the Wild are found on cave and cliff walls, and lastly ancient arowana fish, which I gathered by bow hunting. All of these food items will be used in cooking, which we'll cover right after we're done talking about critters and monster parts. On the Great Sky Island, you'll find restless crickets by either cutting grass or lifting up rocks, and hot-footed frogs around various ponds, which, like with the arowana fish, I used a bow to hunt because they are slippery little buggers. Now, for monster parts, you have keys, which are found in various areas. You can harvest them for their eyes and their wings. And with Shushu's being an emergent spawn, you may get lucky enough like I was, and may actually find a few of them committing suicide. Which the obvious respectful thing to do is to harvest their innards. Collect as many of these food, critters, and monster parts as you can to set yourself up for success and ensure you come out on top of any fights with monsters or constructs that you may come up against. Now that you've collected your bounty, let's talk about cooking. It's best, in my opinion, to collect en masse and then cook all at once to keep up your momentum of exploration instead of needing to constantly take breaks to cook, although you can do that too if you'd like. When you find a cooking pot, my go-to recipes are a meat and mushroom skewer, which can be made from one of each item. The same goes for a fish and mushroom skewer also. These are my favorite beginner health restoring recipes. Adding more than one of each will just increase the amount of hearts that it restores. You should make as many extras as these as you can, because when you hit this surface, you can sell them for a good amount of rupees. Now, with your monster parts and critters, you can make elixirs to give you buffs. My two favorite with these ingredients are using a restless cricket, a wing or eye from a keys or shoe jelly, and that creates a stamina-giving, energizing elixir, or using a hot-footed frog, a keys wing or eyeball, or a shoe jelly, making a hasty, speed-giving elixir. What you don't use or are willing to part with, definitely keep on you and sell it for rupees when you find civilization on the surface. Now, some of you may be wondering, who are familiar with Breath of the Wild's or now Tears of the Kingdom's cooking mechanics, why I'm not giving some certain recipes that would make navigating and getting around the Great Sky Island, just like the Great Plateau, easier, especially referring to a specific shrine. Here's a general rule of thumb, and I just really want people to exercise and really come up with the solutions on their own. But a general rule of thumb is, if it's spicy, it keeps you warm. If it's cold, it'll keep you cool. If it's hasty, it'll make you fast. And if it's energizing, it'll give you stamina. Cooking in its own right is quite the sandbox experience. You got this. Just experiment, create some dubious food, and see what you come up with. Now that we have a good amount of health and buffs, We can put them to good use, familiarizing ourselves with Tears of the Kingdom's combat. The first technique that we're going to go over is called a flurry rush. To trigger a flurry rush, you're going to have to perform a perfect dodge. To do this, you lock onto your enemy by pressing the ZL button or the left trigger. You gotta wait for the enemy to attack. Make sure to watch closely to get the timing of the attack right as they start swinging at you. Tap on the X button to jump in either back, left, or right, and use the left joystick at the same time to move in that direction. If triggered properly, you will see a bullet time event, which then you can spam Y or your attack button to do a flurry of attacks. Some enemies actually have indicators of when they will attack and when you should attempt to dodge. Like this one, their eye will turn green. Watch. In Tears of the Kingdom sandbox, there's a lot of variables to be cognizant about while fighting your enemies. Being able to slow down time with the flurry rush to really gather yourself, attack your opponent, and then decide what to do next cannot be overstated. Another technique involving bullet time has to do with your bow. This one's fairly simple to pull off. What you need to do is to just jump up from an elevated position. You can't do this while standing. You need some verticality to enable you to activate bullet time. When you do this, press the right trigger with the bow equipped and you'll be able to shoot arrows in a slow-mo bullet time event. When you do this, you're going to want to aim for the enemy's critical spot. Most of the time it's their head, sometimes it's a big ol' eye. You'll know what it is. This will stun your enemy and cause them to fall over, sometimes even losing their weapon. The next technique that we will be discussing is parrying. This is done with your shield. What you do is that you hold the left trigger to target your enemy, and right before they either attack you with a melee weapon or with a projectile, you press A to deflect it. A lot of times this will again stagger and cause your enemy to lose their weapon, or it can harm them by parrying a projectile right back at them. If you practice these techniques, you'll be more than prepared to bring the fight to the Demon King and his army of monsters. Remember, practice makes perfect, because Hyrule needs you! But me, not so much. As you're practicing your combat techniques, you will no doubt defeat some of these construct soldiers. When defeated, these constructs will drop Zonai charges, which can be used to create extra one-time use energy cell segments and construct horns depending on their rank. These horns can and should be fused with your sticks and wooden branches to form formidable weapons to take on the higher tiered constructs on the island, which include some captains that can really mess you up. Both Zonai charges and construct horns can be deposited into the item dispensers around to give you capsules filled with various Zonai parts to add to your builds, made by Ultra Hand. Lastly, I'm going to let you know about collecting Zonite. In the mines on the Great Sky Island, you will find deposits of Zonite. Zonite can be forged into crystallized charges by a forged construct, which in turn can be crafted into 1/4 of an energy cell used to power your various creations made with Ultra Hand or other creations found in the game. The current exchange values are that you will need 3 Zonite for 1 crystallized shard. Then you will need 100 crystallized shards to make 1/4 of an energy well. Crafting your energy wells is pretty important if you want to power your vehicles or contraptions for more than a few seconds at a time. So you're definitely going to want to be collecting that Zonite any opportunity you get to. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you learned something new, or if anything I explained helped you feel a little more confident getting off of the Great Sky Islands and onto the surface of Hyrule, let me know. And if it didn't, let me know that too. I'm really excited for everyone to experience this sandbox. Breath of the Wild was really incredible, and it's one of the greatest games of all time. Somehow, in my opinion, they really upped the ante this time, both with the mechanics of the game. The story, I'm sure, is great based on what we've seen in the trailers and everything. And also, the world feels a little bit more lively, even more so than it did in Breath of the Wild, which is pretty impressive because it felt like every crevice, every cliff, every waterfall was purposely crafted. It didn't feel like it was any like a procedurally generated sandbox, or everything felt like it had meaning, and it's even more true with Tears of the Kingdom. If you guys like this, please leave a like, please subscribe, and I stream weekdays on Twitch at 7 p.m. Pacific. Depending on when you see this video, I will be streaming Tears of the Kingdom when it releases Pacific Standard Time at 9 p.m. on the 11th, and I'm going to be doing a 12-hour Tears of the Kingdom marathon stream because I'm really trying to get to 300 followers on Twitch. I got a pretty lofty goal before I start my bachelor's in the fall. So yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for your support, and please let me know exactly what you guys get up to in the game, what surprises you find. Our Discord will be in the description. All right, I love you guys. Thanks.